This is Food for Thought with Deborah Walker. Today on Food for Thought, I have Anthony Morrocco from Morrocco Method International, who specialises in raw, natural hair care products and natural healing. So it's close to my heart, the raw side of things, and particularly the vegan side of things. And I couldn't really pass up an opportunity to actually interview him. It's a fascinating individual. Lots and lots of information out there on the internet for you to go and follow up on around this, guys. So I really suggest you actually follow up after this interview. Hi, Anthony. Welcome to Food for Thought.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. I'm really thrilled to be here, and it's really exciting to also be connected to England again. I was mentioning to you I used to live there back in 76, 77, 78, so that was a nice time in my life touring Europe.
In the 70s, wow. So give my audience a little bit of background about yourself and about your business, Anthony, because it is truly a fascinating journey that you have taken to where you are now.
Yeah, so if you think the 70s, I started my career in 1964, so I'm 70 years old. So I basically left home at 17, 1961, lived in Morocco for a year and a half and toured Europe for a while, then went to New York City in 1964 and started working at the most famous hair salon in the world at that time was Kenneth's. And the rich and famous came in there from all over the world. They mostly had private jets. And I worked there for 4 years as a master hair colorist, and until I discovered how carcinogenic chemicals were in the hair care world. And so in 1968, I walked out of a $1 million career. I was about 27 years old. And I made up my mind, and my goal would be to basically go natural. So it was the beginning of my vegetarian, vegan, raw journey around the world. And then I went to Europe for 2.5 years and studied lunar cycles. I went up in the villages and little seaside towns and up in the mountains and worked with shamans and botanists. And I realized that we were losing this art. That the art basically is that everything's done with the lunar cycle, like architecture, not only farming and fishing and hunting, but also art, crafts, science, medicine. Basically, the Chinese, herbology uses it. Then wildcrafted, going to pick, they picked everything with the lunar cycle. So I discovered that there was 5 elements to the lunar cycle. There's lengthening, strengthening, thickening, root work, and beautifying. So then I came back to the States, and I started working exclusively with only lunar cycle hair cutting techniques and creating my own line of hair care line. So I call my hair care line 5 elements: fire, air, earth, water, ether. And we have 5 fingers, 5 toes, 5 senses, and those are all secrets to be unraveled that the universe is trying to give us messages. Why do we have only 5 fingers? Why 5 toes? Why 5 senses? Why is there 5 elements: fire, air, earth, water, ether? So I combined all these things, and I met Qigong masters, and I started studying Qi and the universal energies and combining that with the 5 elements, and I actually teach Qigong today. I've been doing Qigong for about 35 years, and I've met Bruce Lee's master and several others. Pretty mysterious guys, pretty interesting, lots of power, very powerful people, but they're all into self-healing. So I'm really on a mission at 70 years of age is to help folks. And after 40 years of being in the hair care industry, 50 actually, I keep losing track myself. So I guess next year I'll have my 50th anniversary being in hair care.
And Anthony, you look incredibly young, considering your age, I have to say. What do you think your secret is to staying as young as you look?
Simple. Yeah, to me it's not a secret. I guess everybody else is afraid to do it. So it's really simple. We have to be positive, and we have to find our inner talent. So you don't want to go to work, and people don't want to wake up and go, "Oh God, I dread my job. I don't want to go to work. I don't like what I'm doing." So that's one spoke in the wheel. The other one is find your inner talent. And then there's like our diet. So for me, it's eat live food, produce live cells. Eat dead food, produce dead cells. So where do you think my energy comes from? And my pictures aren't doctored up at all. I mean, that's how I look. People meet me and go, God, I can't believe you're even 50. My energy levels, I run around circles with 20-year-olds. So then we have exercise, and that's, so in Asia, basically, all of China in the morning, they're not all, but I would say 99% of China is 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. They're all outside. And what are they doing? They're exercising. I just got back from San Francisco, and I was in North Shore at Washington Square Park. And every morning, starting at 7:30, there's several hundred Orientals in that park, and they're all doing Tai Chi, Qigong, they're doing martial arts, but they're all doing some form of movement. So our body's physical is part of nature. We have to keep those membranes moving. We have to keep lubricated. We can't just sit in a chair and, sit in TV or sit in the car and expect our bodies, to be young. It's a maintenance. And I discovered that by doing Qigong that we have more energy than younger people. So the older we get doing Qigong, the more powerful and energy that we have.
It's fascinating, isn't it? And it's not rocket science at the end of the day.
No, it's all 1 and 1 equals 2. I'm very, very simplistic. I believe that, nature is everything, and we need to, turn back to her and, and study her ways. That's what the shamans come out of, and all the basically people of the tribes have studied nature, and that's where all the Qigong comes from. It's animals, it's nature, it's the powers, and then, of course, the 5 elements. And then I get into the lunar hair cycle, and I go into lunar period, and and then I teach that there's 5 types of hair on the body. That's another 5. And that's all been documented by #1 Qigong master today, Montauk Chia, C-H-I-A. You can Google him. He has an enormous wellness center in Thailand where he has dozens of masters there all the time doing all kind of detox work. It's another thing that I teach is detoxing and working with the power of qi. But for me, I'm getting back to my talent is hair. So I knew that when I was 4 years old. If you go on my website and you go to MorroccoMethod.com and you go to videos, and then you go down below the videos on my website, it'll give audiobook and ebook. So those are free books that I have on my website, and it's called Awaken Your Roots. No charge. And one's an audiobook and one's an ebook. So you can either listen to me chattering or you can just read it. It's about 60 pages, and it'll answer all the questions that you're asking me in very detailed depth. But the 5 types of hair on the body is why I'm so excited, is that the crown chakra has the hair on our head. That's #1. Then we have facial beard hair. That's #2. And as females get older, they will start growing facial hair, a little bit here, right? Then we have eyebrows, eyelashes, ears, nose. That hair is #3. Then we have the body hair, #4. And we have pubic hair, #5. Now, why I'm so excited is I discovered a long time ago, and I'm really realizing it now it's been documented by Montauk Chia. The book is called Golden Elixir, and it mentions 5 types of hair, and that the chi, the life force, the prana, whatever you want to call it, is stored in the hair, not in the physical body.
That's really interesting because I remember reading something a long time ago now about how the native Indians, when they were used for scouting, they always kept their long hair, and of course when they were placed into the army, their hair was cut, and they felt they didn't have the same powers of understanding or tracking that they did when they had the longer hair.
Well, I'm so glad you're bringing that up because I have another website. It's called thehairshaman.com. So it's www.hairshaman.com, and you go on that site, and the story you've mentioned is in detail on my hair shaman. It's the story basically goes back to American Indians that had psychic abilities. And they were very, very, very in tune with their 6th sense, if you want to call it psychic. And then when they went in the military, when they cut their hair, they lost all their psychic abilities. That's all documented by U.S. military stories. And so that story you mentioned is on my website, hairshaman.com. But there's also all these stories about Rapunzel and Samson and Delilah. There's biblical stories. There's fairy tales. And all the stories that I put on my website are all about hair and the power of hair, the mystery of hair, and the greatness that we have. So that's why I'm so empowered today, is I don't want people destroying their hair, because that's where our chi energies live. So when you're blow drying, putting chemicals, hair bleach, dyes, using hair care, chemical, hair care like shampoos and conditioners, you're really destroying your finer element, your finer energies.
How do you feel?
That's what they're having a bad hair day. They're not fooling.
So how do you feel that the hair is actually acting as almost a receptor?
Well, I know that as a fact. I mean, it's a scientific fact now. It's all been documented by Qigong masters, and I've been teaching this for the last 50 years. But when a person really gets their hair to get stripped of all the toxins, you strip out the heavy metals, so we have a detox that we do. You basically start using natural hair care, and you strip out all the waxes, and there's a lot of buildup of, when people use chemical products, your hair starts getting a coating of buildup on it. And then once the hair is alive, that's why I'm so excited. So when hairdressers say hair is dead, it's because when they cut it, we don't scream.
Yeah.
But if you were a shaman, and if you were really in tune or a master, you would see the aura of hair is bigger than the aura of the body. And there's pictures. I mean, there's documented pictures. You can Google aura, and then you can actually say aura, like, if you take a broccoli, for example, and you basically do an aura picture of a broccoli when it's raw, the color and the radiation is brilliant. But once you cook it, there's like hardly any life force left to it. If you take any kind of nature, a plant, an animal, an insect, a butterfly, a snowflake, and if you homogenize or pasteurize anything, then that aura is going to be dead. So if you look at the hair, so when the hair is not ruined, it's not destroyed, when it's in a healthy state, the aura is vibrant. And people have different types of colors, obviously. When you can see auras, you can see this. But if you can't personally see the aura, you can Google, and then you can look it up. And there are people who have special cameras that can photograph aura.
So what you're effectively saying is that chemicals on our hair that we would find in normal products are actually having a detrimental effect on more than one level.
Yes, on all levels. That's why when people eat raw, that, I have worked with millions of people who are raw, and, many people who are raw, Lunar, they're basically vegetarian and vegan, and they're exercising, but when they find out that their hair is being destroyed and it's dying, and that when they realize that, the rawness of the hair, they get it right away. They're like, oh my God, I need to detox my hair, scalp, and roots right away. So yeah, that's what I'm professing, is that when your hair is not destroyed, so don't use chemicals on your hair. Don't blow dry it. Bleaching, dyeing. We have henna, use a natural plant. And then learn how to read ingredient lists. Please, for your own energy levels, stop using real heavy metals on products. So if you're using sodium lauryl, like if you use sodium lauryl sulfate, there's 38 different names now for sodium lauryl sulfate, and that's with foams and hair care products.
Yeah.
It also foams in our toothpaste, which is kind of shocking. But sodium lauryl sulfate was discovered in World War II to degrease factories. And it's the only thing that actually foams. So when the hair care industry discovered it, I think it was, I want to say Clairol, but there was this ad of a woman who had this huge amount of foam on her head, like the size of a beehive. And they were saying luxury hair. But that foaming is sulfuric acid. And then every day when you shampoo, or you do it once a week, whenever you do it, day in and day out, decade in, decade out, after decades, The body can't detox that stuff out after a while. The immune system collapses, the lymph system collapses, and where is it going to go? In our bloodstream, it's going to get stored in our kidneys, lungs, heart, right? It's going to go into our organs, it's going to go into our glands, and that's what causes disease. Skincare products with chemicals, mouth care products with chemicals, hair care products with chemicals. Whatever we put on our body, we absolutely absorb 70%. So when we rub on, say, sunblock, for example, or you rub on skincare, any kind of skincare moisturizers, that's actually going ingested into our cells, going into the bloodstream, going throughout, and it's going to get settled down into our glands and organs. 70% of the shampoo and hair conditioner that we're using on a daily basis, if it cannot come out, which it can't because it's chemicals, after a while it's going to get stored, it's called carcinogenic.
So we're killing ourselves, basically, aren't we, with these products?
Yeah, it's like 1 and 1 is 2. To be really simple about it, we are. It's dye. When you call hair dye, it's not D-Y-E, it's D-I-E. Hair dye, D-I-E. We are killing ourselves, you're right.
Now, my nana dyed her hair for absolutely years, and it became thinner and thinner until it almost became non-existent. And that was pretty typical for the time, I find that the hair styling products, the colouring products, are actually ruining hair for the long term from my own experience. So it's kind of a short-term gain for long-term pain, really, isn't it?
Well, I basically teach people to use henna. And we have 7 shades of henna. One's a blonde. So if anybody has gray white hair, if you use the blonde henna, it's going to turn all your white hairs blonde, like you've just got a sun streaking in the Riviera after 6 months of laying on the beach without all that beach and sun. Then we have light brown, medium brown, dark brown. We also have a black. We have a neutral, which is just a conditioner. And then we also have 3 shades of brown. We have black, and then we have red. So whatever you want to do with your hair, come on, stop using the chemicals, stop doing the bleaching. I mean, all it's going to do, like Jackie Kennedy Onassis was my hair client. Mia Farrow, Lauren Bacall, Nancy Sinatra, the Assers, the Vincents, Bunny Mellon. Laundry list of hair clients I've had in New York City back in the day. And, Jackie Kennedy Onassis died from a brain tumor. That's a fact. I know that from John told me that as a fact. So very close to the family. And basically she died of a brain tumor from the cold dye in her hair dye. Calls from her hair dye.
The thing is, though, is that if you're putting these chemicals onto your head, week in, week out, in some respects, if you're using hairspray and shampoo, and lots of women now actually are doing them daily, then inevitably it's going to go into the brain.
Yeah, 70% of everything we put on our skin or on our scalp and our hair is going to be absorbed, and I'm glad you brought that up about hairspray, because, come on, you know what hairspray is?
Go on.
Hairspray is lacquer. And what is lacquer? Lacquer is paint. You are spraying paint on your hair. Paint. And when you look at, then read the ingredient list, it's shocking. And when I look at ingredient lists on, like, say, for shampoos, and they say PEG 5 or they have GM 3, you know what those 5s and 3s and 7 represent? Paint pigment. Mm. So when you see a PEG 3 or a PEG 5 or a PEG 7, what it's saying is they literally took, like if you went to the hardware store and you were going to use, color in your paint, and you were going to put in, like, a red into your paint, right? That would be a PEG 5. That's exactly what's in hair care. It's paint pigment. How deadly is that? Hairspray, it's like literally lacquer, paint.
But do you...
So the ingredient list isn't that we're trying to say, well, come on, get more natural. We're saying that it's deadly.
Do you think people, though, are using these products that are on the shelf normally because they actually don't know any better and they believe the manufacturer's claims that actually they're natural?
Yes. Yeah, when you see natural, read the ingredient list. When you say organic, come on. Organic doesn't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. These are just names that they're fabricating. Like, look at GMO, what they're doing to our food. It's shocking. I think in Europe, GMO is not allowed, but the United States and California has allowed it to happen. Yeah. Genetically engineered food, genetically modified food. If they're doing that to our food, imagine what they're going to do to our skincare and our hair care.
Well,
it's really time to become aware for yourself, your family, your loved ones, and for me, it's basically educating people. That's what my site is all about. If you go on MorroccoMethod.com, you're going to see that it's 95% education. And what are we educating you on? We're educating you on health, how to take care of yourself, how to empower yourself, how to become a stronger, clearer person, so that we can actually radiate to everyone around us and be an example of how to be, especially the raw population. I mean, people are eating raw, vegan, vegetarian, and then when they realize that their hair care products are carcinogenic, they're shocked.
I'm shocked.
Like
I was sorry, Anthony. I was just going to say, I'm shocked that people are actually shocked nowadays, considering that what some of the manufacturers do. For instance, you talked about sodium lauryl sulfate, and actually all they've redone in many products is actually renamed it.
Yeah, if you basically look at some of your shampoos now, because there's 38 different names of sodium lauryl sulfate, so now they're saying that there's like palm oil, or they're using olive oil, and that's their foaming agent. But if you really, you have a right to ask them directly, where do you get that palm oil? Well, it's made in a laboratory, not from the palm, not from a coconut, not from an olive. They're actually making that oil in a laboratory. Come on. That's another sodium lauryl sulfate. So all I can tell you is get educated. If it foams, it's sodium lauryl sulfate. I don't care what they call it. By any scientific diagnosis, if it foams, it's sulfuric acid. It's sodium lauryl sulfate. That stuff is really not healthy. There's a lot of stuff that's really not healthy. But if you add them all up, like you're saying, and you're doing it every day, like you're bleaching your hair once a month, or you're dyeing your hair once a season, I mean, come on, decade in, decade out, that stuff is really carcinogenic. So, and then, I don't really want to get too far involved in it, but I'm just saying to get educated, start reading ingredients, and live a healthy life, empower ourselves. Breathe, like I say, what's the greatest food on planet Earth, for the raw people especially? And that's a riddle I had on my website, and no one could guess it. What's the number one most powerful food on planet Earth to eat, right? What is it?
Go on.
So basically people go, well, is it an avocado? Is it an olive? Is it, could it be lettuce? It's air.
Yeah.
I mean, you can live. I have friends that do 40-day fast. I don't suggest it to everybody, but 40-day fasts are no big deal anymore. They don't even do water fast. And then how long can you live without food? Days. How long can you live without water? Days, right? How long can you live without air? Minutes. So another element that I teach is breathing. So my Qigong classes and all of the Qigong masters and yoga, the first thing they're going to teach you is how to breathe properly. So you really want to get empowered, I recommend there's a really fabulous CD by Dr. Andrew Weil, W-E-I-L, Dr. Andrew Weil. It's called Breathing. It's 2 CDs. One's on the history of breathing, which is excellent. And the second CD is on breathing exercises, different types of exercises to do. And I teach it to all ages. High school, college kids think, wow, my studies have never been any better. I'm stress-free. I don't have to really go through breaking points anymore, but my breathing exercises help me get through unbelievable studies and stress classes. And, of course, adults find it the greatest thing to do. If you get stressed, just go do a breathing exercise.
Breathing's really interesting in regards to the oxygenation, isn't it? Because fundamentally, it's one of the most simplest things that we can do to aid our health. It costs us nothing to actually sit up and open up the chest and actually take the time to truly breathe properly.
Yeah, it's free. I mean, that's the greatest food in the world is free. It's right underneath our nose, and you do the breathing exercises that they recommend, whoever you're using from in yoga, you're going to get the exact proportion of chi that you need. And like you're bringing up, of course, it's feeding our cells. So we came out of 2 cells. We came out of a male and female cell, so 2 cells. And in the adult body, I think it's 50 billion cells have been created from those 2 cells. And when you breathe properly, you're oxygenating. You're actually flooding every cell with oxygen. And that's the greatest food on planet Earth. It's very powerful. It's free. It's perfect when you breathe. Neither Montauk Chia just came out with a video just like last month, the Qigong master, on breathing. And we breathe very shallow because that's like we can either breathe consciously or unconsciously. But when you breathe consciously, you're going to breathe all the way down into your stomach, down into your dantian, down into your solar plexus. You're going to flood that with qi, with a lot of power, and you're going to get rid of the toxic air that's down there, the carbon dioxide. You want to get it out of there. And deep breathing is really, really healthy.
Perfect. Now, your hair program is the only one I've come across which combines the modern knowledge and techniques about hair care and the effectively ancient healing arts, which include the Chinese herbalism, Ayurveda, and then the lunar astrology, which, as a naturopath, and I'm trained as an old-fashioned naturopath, really hooked me in because you see very few people refer to it nowadays, particularly in health. You know, for me, that was a first. Can you tell my audience about what's led you to truly combining these things and using it in your approach?
Yeah, well, first of all, we don't homogenize or pasteurize anything, so then the hair care is raw. Then a lot of our ingredients I get from all over the world, and they're wild crafted. So they're beyond organic, they're wild crafted. And then I did a lot of study with homeopathy. So we basically, the products are homeopathic that I studied with masters, and then we also are Chinese herbology. There's a lot of incredible herbs and spices. Then also the Indian oils are, I find, the finest on planet Earth. So we do a lot of high quality oils that we put in our products. Like I think, well, you're being in England, that I don't know if you realize, but the royal family is all homeopathic.
Yeah, they have their own homeopathic doctor. Most people don't realise that, actually.
And they've been homeopathic for generations.
Indeed, you're absolutely right, yeah.
Here's the general public running around to the drugstores. You don't feel good, you feel sick, where do you go? To the drugstores. I mean, come on, don't you hear the word drug? I mean, after all, listen to what's going on. Go to a homeopathic, find a Chinese acupuncturist, do some herbology. But getting back to my hair care products, yes, we use fire, air, earth, water, ether. So the products are all represented by the 5 elements, which we use actually different. Like we have a fire shampoo, which is apple cider vinegar, raw, unpasteurized, unhomogenized, organic, of course. Then we have an earth shampoo, which is like clay-based, which is earth. Our clays come from Europe. We have a pine shell coming out of Germany from the decomposed forest, millions and millions of years. There's a lot of trace minerals, a lot of rare trace minerals in our hair care products, and they detox. So what happens when you first shampoo, it doesn't foam. People go, oh my God, it's really scary. I shampooed with, one of your shampoos on the 5 elements, no foam at all. But afterwards, the hair is really clean because we're not stripping out your natural oil. Yeah. So there's no foaming, no sodium lauryl sulfate. Then some people experience a detox, which is great. You should be thrilled that you're detoxing. So the hair will basically collapse for a day, a week, maybe even a month, depending on how many chemicals are built up in it. But it's going to start pulling out the heavy metals and toxins. And I actually have a product called Zen Detox. That's from Italy, from the volcanic mountains of Italy, from a lot of volcanic clay, again, millions of years of decomposed minerals, trace minerals, and it made it as a mud. You put it on. It's actually like a facial, but you do your hair. It goes right down into the follicles, right down into the hair roots, right down into the brain cells, and it starts pulling out a lot of heavy metals. So we really, whatever we put on our body, we want to have it to come out. So generations, decades, millenniums ago, when we lived in jungles, we detoxed at very heavy levels, especially through our exercises, eating only local food. But now we're not living a very normal lifestyle. So the hair care products really help to detox. They have everything imaginable. I teach people to alternate the products. Don't use one shampoo. No matter what you're using, don't use a toothpaste or a skin cream or air conditioner. You have to alternate because the body will build up an immunity against it. So if you're using, let's say you eat broccoli and nothing else for like a year, your immune system will collapse. The same thing with our skin and hair care. You need to alternate. That's why I alternate to 5. Fire, air, earth, water, and ether. All my products. My conditioners are 5. My shampoos are 5. So we're teaching people how to really live back into the natural element.
So how do you go about selecting which one is right for you? Which one?
That's a good question. Yeah, I simply, we do sample packs. We have we have trial and travel shampoos. You buy all 5. They come in 2 ounces, or you can even buy a half an ounce, all 5 of them. Then you try all 5 and you see which ones you like best. So what happens basically, let's say you do fire, air, earth, water, ether. Let's say that you like earth and you like sea, but you don't like ether, for example. You put the ether aside and you'll do the air, you'll do the chi, you do different products. Then after a couple of months, you'll see, well, my hair doesn't look great today. I'm starting to collapse. So then you bring in the other element that you didn't use before, and your hair will snap back into looking great again. So that's why I'm saying you must alternate if you really want luxurious, healthy-looking hair.
So
hair is key.
So
that's our life force. We have to sorry. What?
I was going to say your products then are feeding the hair on not just a physical level, but also on an energetic level, then, aren't they?
Yeah, because we have an element called chi. So one of the 5th element in my hair care line is chi, which is the life force, which is prana. And yes, when you're using the hair care products, you're actually putting into it life force. That's the wild, crafted, organic ingredients. Some of them are exotic, like trace minerals. The hair, decades ago, when we lived in tribes, for example, if you were in Africa, you'd take bananas and smash them in your hair. If you lived in Hawaii, you would take coconut. If you were in Italy, you'd take olives. If you were someplace else in the world, you'd take avocados. But you would just massage that into your hair and scalp to actually feed the hair. It wasn't that we never touched our hair for thousands of years, and all of a sudden, Breck and L'Oreal and these hair care products came as the first time you ever shampooed or conditioned. No, we've been conditioning our hair for millennia. We've been using, the Indians have been using exotic oils for 40,000 years for skin and hair. The oldest civilization, the highest civilization, the most advanced civilization, you go back into India, today they have the finest skin and hair oils I can find on planet Earth. They still have the ultimate hair oil in the world. It's really inspiring. They do cosmetics, but they don't make enough cosmetics to go around, so we can't even buy any cosmetics from India any longer because it's all handcrafted, handmade. So the little that they make is all hoarded and kept in India. But we should be really aware of the cosmetic lines, too, and try to be as natural as we can with them.
Because that's just another factor, isn't it, in this whole chemical assault that people are getting generally.
Yeah, so we look at our body being a part of nature. Like you look at a plant, you go into the woods, you go into the forest, you go into underneath the water, you go in the ocean. Look at nature, seaweed. That's where the hair evolved from. You go and look at grasses, that's where the hair evolved from. What I'm saying is that billions of years ago, gases came into water vapor, started creating water. We started having sea life coming out of the water, hippocampuses, mermaids, all that folklore. It's true. It's fact. They come out, there's butterflies, there's insects, it goes into animals, it goes into birds. And that's what I see when I see grass, when I see leaves, I see chi, I see auras, I see color. Right now, I'm sitting in Central California, overlooking Morro Rock and the bay and the Pacific Ocean. It's about 80 degrees today, and I can see 80 miles up the coastline, and I'm looking at the trees, I'm looking at the life force. It is so brilliant. And so that's where our hair has evolved from the grasses, from the seaweed, all of nature. And our bodies today, as it was hundreds of thousands of years ago, is 100% from nature. And by doing all these chemical processes, we're breaking down our immune system. That's why I'm educating people to read your ingredients, get educated, start Googling, go to a yoga class, talk to somebody, do something, exercise, move, eat raw food, eat live food. If you don't want to be raw, you don't have to, but at least eat real, live food. It'll produce live cells.
Now, you've said something that will obviously goes against the grain, which is that hair is alive, and it's a bit like the same message comes from several dentists who are saying that some teeth are alive and that you can regrow them back. So this is a very different message than people would normally be getting from their hairdresser.
Well, like I said, I've been a hairdresser back in the 60s, and of course all hairdressers believe that hair is dead because when you cut it, it doesn't scream back at you. It doesn't bleed. So, yeah, hair is dead. But if you go into Google, like I'm talking about Montauk Chia, he's written the book, he's documented, these are facts. They're not just some mysterious thing that's floating around outside in the ethers. No, it's all factual now that hair is alive. It's probably more alive than our actual skin cells on the level of chi, on the level of prana. So what is chi? Chi is a life force. How do you walk? How do you breathe? How do you move your body? How do you think? Your thoughts come from chi. Your eyes, your sight is chi. Your hearing is chi. Nothing exists without a life force. The hair is chi, life force. And you were bringing up that story. You can actually look at dozens of stories about not only the American Indians, but all about the folklore of Samson and Delilah and everything else, Goldilocks. And it's all suggesting that hair is a mystery. Mm-hmm. These stories are very powerful. Mm-hmm. Maybe Delilah did Samson a favor by cutting his hair off. Maybe she cut his hair off on a wrong date. We have lunar dates. You can go on my website, MorroccoMethod.com, and you can see on every month there's 5 days a month to cut our hair. Why? Because it's very powerful. If you cut your hair on a day that's not correct, you will lose power. I proved it. I have tens of thousands of clients I've worked on for over the 50 years, and I can grow hair 2 and 3 times longer, faster, by doing the lunar cycle alone. I can make hair thicker, stronger, more beautifying by cutting on the wrong date. So hairdressers don't like it because they're limited. They can only cut like 10 days a month. They're not allowed to cut any time they want to. If you go to South America, you go to Asia, you go down to like any kind of jungle atmosphere, people living in tribes, they would never cut their hair outside the lunar cycle. Never. So there's a day cut. There's like lengthening. You want to grow your hair faster? Look on my website. You'll see the 1 day a month for lengthening. Or you can do strengthening. If you're having hair loss or hair thinning, you can do root work, thickening, and strengthening. And then we have beautifying, which makes your hair wavy. It gives it a lot more wave and texture and makes your hair more beautiful. Lengthening, strengthening, thickening, root work, and beautifying. Those 5 elements, 5 days a month to cut your hair, you'll find and you'll feel so empowered when you have your hair cut on a lunar date. But most people just cut it anytime they want. They don't even know. They just cut it. And you go, I'm having a bad hair day.
It's really interesting because I know about the lunar cycle. My hairdresser is booked for the 18th of this month of December, which is when we're recording this. So that I get the specific haircut that I actually want. She thinks I'm absolutely mad, but I'm totally focused on the fact that that's a good date for me to have my hair done.
You are completely focused. So December 18th is a full moon. It's in thickening, and it's the winter solstice. Most powerful day. This winter solstice, by the way, is one of 19 years. Every 19 years, it happens in this type of solstice with a full moon. So we're very blessed. It's a very powerful. This date is probably one of the most powerful dates of 19 years, almost 20 years, 2 decades. So you're not lunatic. You're not, you're not out there. You are in tune with nature 1,000,000%.
So
13 million that you're in tune with nature.
So what is likely to be different about my haircut then on this day? Can you just explain that for people?
Yeah. So basically, this is like I was saying, when you cut your hair, you want to be in line with the lunar cycles. What does that mean? There's solar, which is the sun. There's lunar, which is the moon. And in between planet Earth, and then there's all the energies going through our solar system. So if you look at, there's days to go fishing. There's days for farming. There's days for reaping and sowing. There's days for harvesting. If you talk to any farmer, not today, but if you go up and talk to like farmers in the mountains, there is some people that are really still doing lunar farming. They will explain to you there's certain dates when you want to plant, there's certain dates when you don't want to harvest. The same thing with our hair. There's certain days you don't want to cut the hair because it's going to weaken our energy level. So the moon, if you look at the moon coming into a full moon, for example, it'll pull the tide of an entire ocean, right?
Yes.
It's called parakeet tides. It's like, it's documented. It's a scientific fact. The tides will be a feet higher or lower than normal. So the same kind of power exists in us. The human body is in perfect balance with the whole universe. And when you talk to a Qigong master, if you talk to any type of Qi master, they will explain to you that the human body has the potential of getting into the exact same formation of the whole universe. And cutting our hair on a strengthening day, or a beautifying day, or a lengthening date, that's that one day of the month when the moon is lining up with the sun and planet Earth and you, and when you actually, like I teach blunt snip hair cutting, so when I give a lunar, like when I cut hair, I don't do it any longer, I don't have time, but in the days when I actually did blunt snip hair cutting, when I cut your hair on December 18th and I snipped the ends of your hair, that snipping action would go through the hair, it would go right down into the body, and it would give you between 12 and 18 acupuncture treatments. So when you do a blunt snip haircut on the proper lunar date, that individual is being empowered, you can say, as an example, of getting 12 to 18 acupuncture treatments. How powerful is that? And I've learned that from Chinese herbologists, and I've worked with master acupuncturists, master herbologists from China, masters. They understand all this. We're out of sync. We're out of line. We're out of context with nature. We want to get back into focus.
So how is it specifically affecting those acupuncture points by me having my haircut on that day, for instance?
Yeah, that's what I'm basically, it's sort of like people don't understand acupuncture, they don't understand meridians, but if you work with an acupuncturist, if you work with a homeopathic, you will see amazing results. And I've been around acupuncture since the early 60s. And when you get your hair cut, all I can say, basically is that I have before and after pictures of hair, people growing their hair 2 and 3 times longer, stronger, thicker. If you look at my website, I have thousands of testimonials of people who have experienced powerful experiences by having their hair cut on the right date and having horrible experiences on the wrong date. Like if you're finely tuned, you're going to experience it. If you're really sluggish and you're out of sync and you really don't even know what's going on, you're not going to feel anything, never mind a lunar hair cutting date. If you cut your hair on the wrong day, you are upsetting your power energy cycles of your body, starting with your chi. And people don't want to shave their bodies. People that shave their pubic hair, it's shocking if you're not on the right date. What are you doing?
That's an interesting point as well, isn't it, around the other hair on the body and how people are now taking that away more and more because it's just become almost a fashion to actually de-hair yourself in every single way. And you must be affecting that receptivity.
Yeah, de-hairing yourself is a good. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, there's men shaving their chest or shaving their back.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's days when there's right days to shave your body and not to shave your body. There's one day a year when a person should shave. If you're going to shave your head, you can do it every day. If you're going to do it during the lunar cycle. But if you're going to do one powerful shave a year, you want to do the spring equinox on my lunar cycle date. When you shave your head on that day, it's so powerful. The hair will grow back so thick. It's unbelievable. It's shocking, but it's true. Whether you're cutting or shaving, please use the lunar cycle. There's days when you retard hair, and there's days when you empower the growth and power and energy of hair.
Do you feel that the lunar cycle has a more wider effect than just on hair?
Yes, what I'm trying to say is that there's farming, there's fishing, there's. You mean on the body, or do you mean on everything? Everything. The lunar cycle affects everything. You know Notre Dame or Chartres and the meeting cathedrals, you can Google it, that the main structured beam was only dropped on a lunar date. It empowered Chartres and Notre Dame 20 times more powerful than if they dropped that buttress or main beam on the wrong date.
It is fascinating, isn't it? Because I've got books basically which outline when to have surgery, when the best time is to have, to have specific things done. And also what fascinates me is that when I take cases and I start to drill down with my clients when things specifically happened, I will start to look at patterns around the lunar cycle, because I can often track specific injuries being linked with the cycle of astrology around it. Now, when I started training, I really didn't believe in all that, but actually as I've been a practitioner now for a number of years, it is there in my cases and I can't ignore it.
Yeah, that's what you're asking, and that's what I'm basically, answering, and we're all doing the same thing, is that when you actually do experience what we're talking about, the lunar cycles, 5 elements, eating a proper diet, anything we're talking about, you have to experience it for yourself to really see the truth of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, so like you're talking about, you actually teach this, you actually study this, you actually profess this, and now you actually see that the truth of it is it does give these kind of results.
Now, let me just move on from that. Now, stress is a huge factor in life nowadays. And obviously the chemical load that people are placing on their hair is just another stressor. Now, how does your approach help with the whole hair loss aspect of stress? Because I have a number of clients who basically are suffering hair loss due to stress. So,
Of course. So, like, again, there's spokes in the wheel. Hair loss is one spoke, your diet's another spoke, your exercise is another spoke. Attitude is an enormous spoke. You have to be positive, live a good life, be in the right frame of mind, being positive. And then you have the lunar. So getting back to the hair, big stressor is by putting chemicals on our hair into our scalp, bleaching, dyeing, hair spraying, using really chemical-based hair shampoos and conditioners. It's very simple. If you think about it, you're going to realize I'm shampooing my hair every day with this shampoo that has chemicals in it. Where is that shampoo going? Well, 70% is being eaten through our cells. It's going into the bloodstream. It's going to go settling down into our glands, into our organs, heart, kidneys, lungs, intestines. And then that's going to basically start breaking down our immune system. We're not going to detox properly. Eventually the body is stressed to breaking point. The disease comes in and we get sick. Stress. The stress on every level. The stress just being on the computer too long. The stress on having a job you don't like too long. The stress on being in a relationship you don't like too long. The stress on eating, junk food. That's stress. Not moving, not exercising. We're stressing ourselves at every level. Emotionally, physically, mentally, mind, body, the whole thing. We have to basically start looking at how we live in nature. What did we do? What did our grandparents? If you look at our great-grandparents, our grandparents, decades ago, their level was like, get up in the morning. They didn't like do their emails. They weren't basically running around with the computers. They weren't having all this technology driving them off the hook. Yeah. So, of course, we have technology. It's a good thing and a bad thing. But that's a huge stressor. Big stressor. So we really want to stop. I teach everybody, like my clients and I have Qigong classes here I teach in Central California. If you're feeling stressed, stop. Stand up. Take a breathe. Breathe it. Do a breathing exercise. Do a little exercise. Do a yoga exercise or do a Qigong exercise or do a Tai Chi. But we have to basically snap ourselves out of it. We can't go in that one direction of stress, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. And lots of my clients will say to me, if I explain that actually a simpler life, a more healthy life, and one that gets back to nature, and as you say, one that our grandparents would have lived, is actually where we should be heading. The response to me, as I would have given years ago when I was working in the corporate sector, would be, it's just too difficult. I just can't do it. So what would your advice be to those people who just cannot see a way out of all this stress that we've kind of created for ourselves?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. So first of all, it's attitude. If I say I can't do it, that's my weakness and my excuse. If I say, oh yeah, other people do that, but I can't do that. Or yeah, so you're raw. I'm not going to start eating raw. Are you kidding? You people are vegetarians. What are you, crazy? It's like I teach step one. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, take one baby step forward. Maybe get into a basic yoga class. Maybe buy Dr. Andrew Weil's CD on breathing. Maybe get a book on motivation. Do something. Do anything. Do something. Do one step forward. All right, so let's say my diet is at this level, right? Well, let's say that my diet's at this level. Let me bring a salad in, one salad a week. One vegetable a day. Do something. Attitude. How are we going to create a positive attitude? Well, for me, I have to be around positive people. So if anyone's negative, I don't mean once in a while, but I mean, if I have a relationship that's negative, my responsibility is to end that relationship. If I have a job that's negative, my responsibility is to end that job. I mean, not to say I'm going to quit and just go on welfare. No, I'm saying look around, see what's being positive in your life, what's being negative in your life, write it down, and get rid of it. That's our job. Get rid of it. I mean, all the people that I study with, like Wayne Dwyer, he just says, stop it. You're smoking? Just stop it. You want to quit drinking? Just stop it. I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen, wake up. We're adults. What do you need to, you're getting cancer. What are you doing? Stop it. Your children's on drugs? Are you on drugs? What are you doing with these drugs? You want to stop it? Just stop. No one's going to knock on your door. The police aren't going to come knock your door down and say, stop smoking, or we're going to arrest you. That's your responsibility. Be positive. Surround yourself with positive people. Surround yourself with positive attitudes. Listen to something every day. I have a CD alarm clock. My alarm goes off in the morning at 6:30 a.m. with a CD. And I listen to all different kind of motivation speakers. During the day, I have my iPhone. I have audio books on it. I listen to them in the car. I'm 70 years old. I didn't graduate. I didn't stop living. I'm doing more today than I did when I was in my 20s because I have a lot of energy. How come I have a lot of energy? Because I'm positive. I teach. I'm basically helping people, live a very positive life. It's attitude. You have to have a good attitude. And you got to do it.
Anthony, this has been a phenomenal interview, to be honest, and I can hear you running rings around the rest of us at the moment with your absolutely amazing attitude. And I've watched you on YouTube. I knew about you before your guys got in touch with me, so I was really pleased to be doing this interview with you. Just give us your contact details so that people can find your website, find out more about you. How do people find you, Anthony?
Oh, thank you. Yes, just go to 5elementshaircare.com. It could be the letter or number 5, 5elementshaircare.com. You can also go to MorroccoMethod.com. You can also go to thehairshaman.com. Like I said, there's free books, audiobook, ebook. And I'm coming to London next month. Not me physically, but Morrocco Method will be at AmazonUK.com. We're going to be selling our products out of Amazon in England to the UK and all over Europe. So it'll be really accessible and easy to get at. So you don't have to order it from the States and pay all these overcharges. You can get it free shipping right from Amazon, right, any place in the UK.
That's actually brilliant news for people, someone like myself, I have to say, who actually eats predominantly their diet raw, and your products are extremely good. So, and just the thought of being able to shop on Amazon and get them, I'm so pleased about that. Anthony, thank you so much for coming on Food for Thought. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been a privilege, and let's stay in contact and let's do more of these. It's very exciting to get more people aware. Live a healthy life. Our health is our wealth.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.